Still green, cloudy. Morning, morning, morning. Don't know when some more light gonna come in. And read some of this book, Liar, where I left off at from the last video. If you ain't checked that out, I read this book. I read some of this book. You can see. Yeah. I should just turn my big light on so you guys can see me, because, yeah. I'm kind of having one of those mornings. Alright, y'all. It's cold in here, so something's going on with my heat. Ooh, yeah, something's going on with the heat in here, so yeah, I'm wrapped up right now. Yeah, got my heat pad with me. I'm very, very cold, y'all. Very cold. And I'm having one of those mornings. I'm away from a man too long. And woke up, missing him and things. And yeah, I was having one of those mornings. So excuse me if my energy is a little down. But yeah. Let's get right into the story where I left off. Hey, school history. Our school is progressive. We call our teachers by their first names, no Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. Their endear, their endeary, Indira, and Yayiko and Lisa. The emphasis is on ideas and learning and encouraging students to reach their full potential. Sports are not there. There are teams, but no specialist coaches. Just teachers taking it on. Call just teachers taking on because they love basketball or football or softball. Not all our classes have normal name. Yeah, not all our classes have normal names. We're not channeled toward the SATs, but we do get into good colleges, even if we don't test well. They are all in our integration. We're independent thinkers. We volunteer and we volunteer. We don't discriminate. We we um we recycle and care and argue about politics in class anyway. Out of class, it's the same as any other school except with money and cannot play with me right now this morning. Phone. Out of class is the same as any other school except with money and toilets that work and heating that doesn't shut off. We have all the we have all the textbooks we need. Oh, excuse me. We have all the textbooks we need. Computers too, bars on every window to keep the badness out. Real life forensic science come in come in to talk to our biology class. Real life writers come to talk to us in English. Our school looks after us. Before the first and second week of my freshman year were bad, real bad. After Sarah Washington and the banana peel, uh everyone knew who I was, the girl who pretended to be a boy. So much for being invisible. I was called into Principal Paul's office and forced to explain. My English teacher thought I was a boy. I said, I thought it would be funny to go along with it. He said it most decidedly wasn't. Then lectured me about the danger of lies and erosion of trust and blah blah blah. I turned I turned I tuned him out, promised to be good, and wrote an essay on why lying is bad. So, why's your name Makai then? Tayshawn asked. Tayshawn asked me. He was the only one who agreed that me pretending to be a boy was funny. He even asked me to play ball with him again. Will Will was less happy. Zach ignored me. I didn't go. Though I played HORSC, then Tayshawn a I mean with Tayshawn a couple of times. It's a girl's name too, I told him. Just not as often. It's as it's as if your parents knew you was going to look like a boy. Well, I paused. Um, oh, I paused, feeling the rush I always get when I begin to spin out a lie. You can't tell anyone, okay? Tayshawn nodded, bracing himself. When I was born, they didn't know if I was a girl or a boy. Tayshawn looked confused. How do you, how do you mean? How do you mean? Okay, whatever. They couldn't tell what I was. I was born a hermaph. Yeah, I was born hermaphrodite. A what? Half boy and half girl. You can look it up. No way. His eyes glided down my body, looking for evidence. I nodded solemnly, figuring out, excuse me, my voice, uh, figuring out how to play it. I don't know what's going on here. My voice is getting fucked up. Um, it's because it's still the fucking morning. Um, if you hear my stomach, my stomach growling like shit. Anyway, forcing out how to play it. I was a weird looking baby, which is true. I like thread to thread my lies with truth. My parents totally freaked. Also true. In in my experience, those words are guaranteed to spread what you've said far and wide. Very fucking stupid right now. I'm not understanding. And, all right. Where was I? You won't tell anyone, right? You promised. In my experience, those words are guaranteed to spread what you've said far and wide. I like the idea of being a hermaphrodite. Not anymore. I mean, not anyone. You're safe. Tejon never told a soul. I know because days later, there still wasn't a whisper about it. Turned out that he's good. He's good that way. Trustworthy. I figured the I figured the rumor finally spread all over the school because I told Lucy when she was hassling me in the locker room. I'm growling like shit, yo. I need to give you something to fucking eat. Yeah. Yeah. Stupid cup. Mm. Um, I told Lucy when she was hassling me in the locker room. I went for the sympathy card. Today is not my morning, y'all. I'm getting hiccups and shit now. Like I'm messing up. I'm trying to read. I'm, ta- uh, I'm talking to myself, y'all. Cause I'm all of a sudden getting fucking hiccups, and I don't know why. I didn't eat nothing, didn't drink nothing yet. I don't know why I'm getting hiccups. I'm trying to read. It's gonna fuck up my reading. Why the fuck hiccups exist? How do you fucking get hiccups? Can anyone tell me how the fuck you get hiccups? This shit very fucking annoying. You keep calling me a freak. Well, guess what? I am. She looked more grossed out than sympathetic. Sympath, yeah, yeah, sympathetic. Or it could have been Brandon Duncan, who overheard me telling Chanel, who wanted to know how I managed to fool everyone on account of she wants to be an actress and thought it would be useful to know. She had me show her how to walk like a boy. I taught her how to spit too. Or maybe it was all three of them. Most likely, hardly anyone's as tight lipped as Tayshawn. However, it spread. It reached Principal Paul, who contacted my parents, who told him it wasn't true. And there I was in his office again, explaining how I had no idea how the rumor got started and was hurt and upset that anyone would say anything so mean about me. I'm a girl. Why would I want anyone to think I was kind of freak, some kind of a freak? Because I wanted them to pay attention to me. Something like that. Mostly is the joy of convincing people that something something that ain't so is. It's hard to explain. But like I said at the beginning, I've quit the lying game now. But that's now. Back then, it was. Why did you want everyone to think you were a boy, Makai Wilkins? Principal Paul looked at me without blinking. I returned the favor. You don't know. He sounded unsurprised. Perhaps you will find out when you visit the school counselor. I didn't let him see how much I hated that idea. There have been way too many counselors and shrinks and psychologists in my life. I mean, I know lying is bad. That's why I'm giving it up. But I've never understood why I had to see shrinks about it. You've been at you've been at this school less than 2 weeks, Makai Wilkins, and already have a reputation for telling falsehoods and making mischief. I guess how you say that. My eye is on you. I didn't ask him how that affected him, anything, seeing anything else. My second essay for the principal was on the virtues of honesty. I ran out of I ran out of things to say on the first page after. At school the word uh, at, at school the word murder has has seeped into everything. We look at each other differently. People stare at me, at Sasha, at Tayshawn, at Brandon, at all the guys on Zach's team, at anyone who has ever hated or loved or hung out with him. We are all mad. We are all made of broken glass. The school grinds along on grief and anger. I track Brandon down. He is under the bleachers in the park smoking. I creep up quietly and steadily like the greats taught me. Brandon, I said softly in his ear. Jesus fucking Christ. Brandon screams, startlingly and dropping his cigarette. What do you do? What would you do that for? What did you do that for? He asks, stepping away from me and scrambling for his cigarette. He picks it up and takes a long drag. Freak. I'm not the I'm not the one under bleachers smoking a cigarette that just fell in a pile of dog shit. Brandon spits the cigarette out and looks down at where there isn't any dog shit. I laugh. Now, bitch, he says, why'd you say that about me and him? I ask, taking a step toward him. He backs away. It's not true, I say, firm as I can. He laughs this time. Sure it is. I saw you and Zach together. There was nothing to see. Right, he says. So I hallucinated you running toward. I mean, so I I hallucinated you running together in Central Park. He picking he picking you up and swinging you around, and then Brandon paused to lean toward me and lick his lips as loudly and grossly as he can. Definitely lots of tongue action. Now it's me backing away. Wasn't me. I say, shit. Wasn't me, I say, strong as before, but he knows I am lying, and I know that he knows. Sure it was, he says. There's no other girl on the planet that looks as that looks as much like a boy as you. Maybe Zach was secretly a fag. You're a dick, Brandon. Whatever. He pulls a he pulls a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from his pocket, lights one, and deliberately blows the smoke at my face. Need a new part-time boyfriend, do you? Now the old one's dead. I could I could volunteer. I don't mind slumming. Fuck you, I say. What? Stalking, yeah, stalking off, annoyed at how defeated I feel after. The only teacher who's okay is my biology teacher, Yaiko Shoji. Yeah, Shoji doesn't coat things in sugar. She explains what meat is and how it works, how we are all meat, how meat gets into the vegetables we eat. She doesn't modify her words for for the vegetarians in the room. Meat is cells, meat is fat, meat is cells, meat is flesh. Meat is muscle. Meat is 5% fat. Meat is 20% protein. Meat is 75% water. Zach was meat. Meat decays. Yaiko, I ask, how long before a body begins to rot? I can hear the sudden intake of air. Gross, Makai, Brandon says. Do you have to answer that? Sarah asks, her eyes filling with water again. Decay, but which is nowhere fucking near the fucking 19. Fucking Bill wanna be sending me shit. Decay, uh, decomposing. are natural processes. Yaiko explains the same basic things happen when anyone dies. A flower. It pisses me off because it knows I'm not having a good morning. And just been waiting for my man to tell me when I can come home. Nothing talking here. But do we have to talk about it now? Sarah X is speaking more firmly than I've ever heard her before, especially to a teacher. Now, especially now is especially when I want to know. Now with Zach is I mean now with Zach and the morgue. I understand that you're all upset, but for some people, understanding the processes involved can help with grief, Yaiko says, and I find myself nodding. I know, desperate to understand. I am desperate to understand. We are all, we are all of us, what? We are all of us subject to the same laws of nature and of God, says Sarah says. The second thing that happens after death, Yaiko says, is that blood and oxygen is that blood and oxygen stop flowing through the body. Gravity causes gravity causes the body's blood to drain from what ca- capillaries uh, uh, in the upper parts and to pull in the lower blood vessels so that parts of the body seem pale, those upper surfaces and parts seem dark. What if you're already pale? I mean, what if you already pale? Tayshawn wants to know. The class laughs, but I'm not sure he meant to be funny. Pale is a relative term. Tayshawn Yaiko says the the lower parts of your body become darker than the upper parts. What do you mean upper part? Then he continues like your head. It depends on how the body is positioned. If it's lying supine, if it's lying supine on its back, then the blood pow the blood pools there. I don't know. And the heels and calves and buttocks, the back, the back of the neck, the head, the face will be pale. Tayshawn nods to show he understands now. I wonder how they found Zach. Which parts of him were pale, which dark. Next, the cells crease aerobic what respiration, so they can't maintain normal muscle biochemistry, which means what? Only two ha- only two hands go up. Mine and Lucy O'Hara's. O'Hara's. Lucy. They stop making energy out of what? Glucose. Lucy says oxygen. Yes, Yahiko continues. And when that stops, calcium ions, um, leak into muscle cells, pretending muscle relaxation. I mean, preventing muscle relaxation, which causes rigor mortis. Rigor mortis. When the body goes all hard, Tayshawn X, there are more giggles, but he ignores them. Yes, the ego says. The cells begin to die and can't fight off the bacteria, which causes the body to decompose and the muscles to become soft again. As soon as the body dies, flies are attracted to it. They start to lay eggs in open wounds and I don't know orifices. I don't know. I've never seen that word before. I said ORIFIS. I meant ORIFICES. Mm. Holding her hand over her mouth and running from running from the room. Two girls get up and follow her. I'm also imagining maggots eating Zach. Maggots in his eyes, maggots become between his toes, maggots all over him, wrinkling, feeding, tearing into his body. I have to concentrate to keep from joining the other girls in the bathroom. On the way out of class, Brandon hisses at me. You're not normal, he says. Tell me something I don't know. After, I bet you killed him, Brandon says on the way out of biology. You probably got your dad to make him disappear. I heard it was you, I tell him. That you you read somewhere if you kill and eat the brains of people who are better than you, then you get to be like them. That's that makes you safe, Brandon says, and everyone else is. and everyone else in this school. I laugh and almost tell him, touche. He walks away. I follow. How come you're always hissing at me on the way in and out of class? Are you kidding? I can't have anyone see me volunteering, voluntarily talking to a murdering freak like you. I wish you'd go back to wearing that mask. That way, none of us has to see your freaky face. Shut up, Brandon, or I'll have my dad take care of you. Briefly, I imagined what it would be like to have such a dad, ready at a moment to kill all my enemies. Brandon's eyes flick at me as if he's trying to assess why he as if he's trying to assess whether what I said could be true, but doesn't want to contaminate his eyeballs by actually looking at me like your dad took care of Zach. I want to hurt Brandon, slap his face, kick his nuts, spit in his eyes. You'll never be as good as him. No matter how hard you try, it's true, but that doesn't make it sound any less lame. Brandon laughs and moves away from me as quick as he can. He knows, he knows he's won. History of me. Sometimes I am still for hours. It's like I'm waiting, watching, bidding on bidding my time. When I'm ready, I'll leap. Sometimes my whole life feels like that. I never said that to Zach, but I think he would have understood. There's a lot I didn't tell Zach that I should have. Sometimes thinking about him steals me, shuts everything else out, shut everything else out. Shut everything else down. Other times I have trouble sitting still. I pace. Mom hates it. Dad looks at me nervously when I pace. The apartment is so small, I don't understand how the four of us can fit in it. Four, you ask? Yes, four. Me, mom, dad, Jordan. My brother, my younger brother, my 10-year-old brother, Jordan. He has the opposite effect on me. He is the opposite of Zach. Before my next big lie of freshman year, after passing first as a boy and then as a hermaphrodite, was getting him was getting them to believe that my father was an arms dealer. I still can't believe anyone bought it. It started when dad came to pick me up in a long black limousine. Not just long, but ridiculously long. Almost as long as the block. He was reviewing a new luxury limousine company and had to test all their services, including including the champagne and flowers and their promise to drive you wherever and whenever. So, so he picked me up from school wearing the tuxedo he was married in, looking like James Bond. The chauffeur was at once was at once respectful and jokey with him. They they haymanded and brothered each other. Discovered they were both named Isaiah and made jokes about their super strict religious parents. Parents dad does not have the greats never go to church. Who's that? Chanel asked me as dad waved. I could see Sarah and Zach looking at my dad and then back at me, my dad. I said. She looked at me sideways as if she could see the truth be see to as if she could see the truth better from that angle. No way, she said. I smiled. He's so cool. What's what's he do? Stuff, I said. What kind of stuff? Chanel asked, watching Dad walk toward us. I gotta go, I said, and walked up to Dad. He kissed my cheek. Hurry up, he told me, swiping me into the limo. I was relieved to I was relieved to see that Brett wasn't already in there. I enjoyed Chanel and the others watching us. Who else are we picking up? No one, he said. I thought we'd cruise for a bit and help the planet warm up some more. Climate change not quick enough for you, Dad. I don't I don't see you getting out of and walking. Can't, I said. There's watching or watching, he corrected. This is Isaiah, yes. Same name as me. He had a shot at the world midway title mid middleweight sorry middleweight title back in the early 1990s. I'm sorry, back in the early 90s. Isn't that right, Isaiah? We both climbed up closer to Isaiah. Dad repeated the stuff about Isaiah and boxing. Is it? Isaiah said, nodding. I mean, it is. Isaiah said, nodding. We must be, you must be Makai. Your dad says you're a handful. That right? Nope, I said. It's my brother who's the bad one. They're both bad seeds, Dad said, patting my head 'cause he knows I hate it. Dad, I protested, I am cursed. He told Isaiah, who nodded back at him, who who have children other than the two of us. Isaiah said, laughing. Mine are more than a handful, but none of them in jail yet. That's the blessing I'm counting. Then they started talking boxing. Dad told Isaiah about his career as a lightweight.
Lightweight was right, but only if you left out the boxing part. Dad liked to say that he was averse to violence. As far as I knew, he never hit anyone, not even me, though, trust me, he'd want to. He'd wanted to. I got out before it was too late, Isaiah said. Wanted to keep a few of my original smarts. He tapped his left temple to demonstrate there was still something in there I can add up and read, and I know who the president is. That's a lot better than some of the brothers I went through with. Dad nodded wisely. Dad got Dad got out after his nose was smashed up, I said, and Isaiah peered at Dad's nose in the rearview mirror. The crooked lump in the middle curiosity. I mean, came courtesy of his oldest cousin Cal up on the farm, or at least that was the story I'd heard most often. Dad nodded again. Of course, he said, I was never going to be a contender. Nose was broke in the fifth bout. He did right. I mean, you did right, Isaiah said. Look at you now, riding around in the limousine. Dad laughed, just reviewing it. Good enough, Isaiah said. Next morning at school, without saying anything directly, I let it be known that my dad was a man to be reckoned with. By the end of the day, it was Micaiah's dad, the arms dealer. I either confirmed or denied. After the police interview all the seniors, the art room becomes the what inquisition room. What? Hmm. I am one of the first they call. I wonder why. I am a Wilkins, so I am a Wilkins, so it can't be alphabetical. When the officer says my name, I stand up and I walk slowly out of English. Everyone looks at me, the teacher too. I lift my chin a little higher, threading my way through the desk, trying to close my ears to the whispers, but my hearing is too good. They talk about me and Zach. Disbelief echoes around the room and follows me out into the hall. How could he? With you, I hate English, even when no one is whispering about me. The police officer smiles at me. I'm Officer Lewis, Mackay, I say, even though she already knows, even though she already knows that since she asked for me by name. I wonder if she heard the whispers. The art room is this way. She tells me, making it even. I told her something she knew. Now She's telling me something I know. She's shorter than me. She looks young, like she could still be in high school. Her uniform is neat, and she has a gun in a leather holster on her side. I wonder if she's ever fired it. Don't worry, she says. One of your teachers, Miss Yaiko Yoshi, Yo, Yoji, Shoji, will be there. We just want to ask a few questions. You might be able to help us find out what happened to Zachary. Do you have any ideas at all? I asked her. Was he really murdered? Everyone's saying so. I'm sorry, I can't answer that. The investigation is still ongoing, she said, still smiling. Was he a good friend of yours? It's hard when someone you care about dies. No, I say, feeling weightless for a moment. I skid on on a towel. The officer puts her arm out to steady me. Slippery, I say. He wasn't a friend of mine. It's weird, someone you've seen around. She pats my shoulder. I understand, she says. I hope she doesn't, and follow her along the empty hall into the art room after. This is Cal Wilkins, Officer Lewis say. Two two men nod, one of them tall and thin, and is leaning up against the wall. His elbow rests against someone's painting of a cow exploding. At at least that's what it looks like. The other man is sitting in a chair that's too small for him. It looks as if it might collapse under his weight. He's much fatter and more gray than the man standing. Neither of them wears a uniform, and if they have guns, I can't see them. Officer Lewis um gestures to the chair next to Yuiko Shoji, who turns and nods at me. Under the table, she squeezes my hand briefly. For a moment, I think I might cry. Officer Lewis stands by the door. I am perched on the edge of my seat, toes flexed. I haven't been in the art room since the 10th grade. I hated it. I hated I hated it then. I hate it now. The smells of paint remover, clay, glue, chalk, pencil, dust are overwhelming. I sneeze. Yaiko blesses me. Why is the art room never clean? I look around at the messy paintings, the sculptures, the cabinets and desks and chairs in every imaginable color. Mackay, the older looking man, says, turning from his notes to me and then back to his notes. Mackay Wilkins, I'm Detective Rodriguez. Hello, I say. I wonder if they picked the art room on purpose, hoping that ugly art will make us want to confess. The other man looks down at me, bares his teeth, and says, Um, Detective Stan, I I smile, but it's a little smile. I glance at Yahiko. She nods. You're going to ask We're going to ask you a few questions. That all right with you, Makai? Detective Rodriguez asks. Okay, I say. It's not okay. I don't want to answer questions. I don't want to talk about that. I want to run anything you can think of, even if it seems like even if it seems kind of irrelevant to you. Rodriguez continues, it might help us with the case. We need you to think hard. Tell us everything you can remember. Okay, I say again. Did you know Zachary Rubin well? I shake my head. Did you know him at all? We were in some of the same classes. Which ones? Biology, I say. Glances at Yaiko. She smiles. English, math, dangerous, dangerous words. Dangerous words. Detective Stan asks. It's a class about censorship. Interesting, he says. But I can tell he means weird. When was the last time you saw when was the last time you saw him? Rodriguez asked. Friday, I guess. In class. Friday night sneaking around in Central Park. The dangerous words class. Did you notice anything about him? Did he seem different, I asked. The man nods. I didn't really look at him. I say, he's he's he was popular. I'm not. I stay out of his way. I don't think he's ever said a word to me in school or me to him. I thought, says Detective Stan, looking down at me, that this school wasn't like that. Isn't this one of those alternative schools where everyone's happy and no one gets beat up at recess? Does this does that question have anything to do with your investigation, Yaiko X? I was just wondering, Miss Shoji. San says, I didn't think a hippie school would have popular kids. Where wherever there are people, Yaiko observes there are there are hierarchies. True enough, San says, and Zachary Rubin was high in this school hierarchy. I don't know. Is that right, Makai? Very, I say, with students, with teachers. He was good at everything, especially hoops. Hoops, Stan says, with a smirk to his voice. I thought schools like this didn't have much of it didn't have much of an athletic program. We don't, Yaiko says. Not compared to more traditional schools, but some of our students are very athletically gifted. Like Zachary saying eggs, yeah, like Zach. Yeah, you confirms. Was he ever mean? Was he ever mean to you, Makai? Popular kids, often are. No. Where are you in the school hierarchy? No, no, not very high. I prefer being invisible. Not that I am anymore. That thanks to Brandon. Makai is one of my star students. She's popular with me, Yaiko says, and I wish she hadn't. Detective Stan smirks some more. Do you think other students resent Zachary's popularity? Detective Rodriguez asks. I don't know, I say. Probably. Brandon Ducking certainly did. You say Zachary was popular. Rodriguez says, did you like him? Sure, I say I certainly didn't not like him. You mean, he seemed like a nice guy. He never did anything mean to me or anything else that I saw, but some other students have. Stan asks, have what? I asked. Been mean to you? I can take care of myself, I say, crossing my arms. I bet Detective Stan was an unpopular as me, more, more even. I bet being back in high school makes him tense. Even a hippie even a hippie one like this. I'm sure you can, Stan says, and which students have forced you to take care of yourself. No one in particular. I almost, I mostly get left alone. Stan stares at me. I can tell you he doesn't believe it. Well, if you think of anything that might help our investigation, Rodriguez says, glance up at Stan and then back at me. You let us know. I nod, I will. You can go back to class now. I don't. I go into the bathroom and hide in one of the stalls until the bell for next period. I don't want to hear any whispering for a while. Before, it's true that Zach never spoke to me in school. He doesn't look at me either. Not before anyway. After he would sometimes catch my eye when he was sure no one else was looking at him or at me. Easy to find a moment when there were no eyes on me. Difficult to find one for himself. We met for the first time in Central Park under a bridge, hugging with what icicles. Oh yeah, with hugging with icicles. Wonder winter of our winter of our um junior year, middle of the day, a weekday, a school day. I say we met, even though we been in school together since we were freshmen. We exchanged a few words during the one game of hoops, but we'd been in classes ever since without so much as saying hi, how you doing? He spoke to the cool kids. I spoke to no one, not even my teachers, except Yaiko. Except Yaiko, if I could avoid it. Under the bridge, he spoke to me. Makai, isn't it? I was staring up at the sickles. It was warmer than it was warmer that day, and they were dripping. I wondered how long before they fell. Which one would be first? You like sickles, huh? I turned to look at him. I knew he I knew who he was from. Yeah, I knew who he was from his voice. I am better at voices than faces. His was deep, the kind you want to hear sing or read a sermon so that you can float away on the words blurred together. It was too deep a voice for a 16-year-old boy. It was deeper than my dad's. This time I really looked at him. I never had before. I have learned to let my gaze slide over the surface of people without retaining anything. Yeah, without retaining anything or resting anywhere. That way, no one calls me freak. I saw that he was beautiful, not witty, like he'd been in our freshman year, though still lean. Taller, too, much taller. I guess we both were. I'm Zach, he said, even though he knew I knew that I liked that. Ah, I mean, I like them too, icicles. I mean, only good thing about winter. We stared at each other. I saw how smooth his skin was, how fine the pores. Then we looked up at the sickles, 15 of them. Which one dripping? I mean, each one dripping. You think you're going to last the day? You think they're going to last the day? No, I said, surprised that I could find my tongue. It's too warm. Why was he talking to me? He took a step closer. We're in biology together, aren't we? I nodded. That Yaiko is weird, don't you think? Smart though. She's probably the smartest teacher we got. I nodded again. No boy had ever stood this close to me before. I like those classes, he said, moving even closer. He didn't mention that if we were in school, we where we were supposed to be, Shoji's class would be starting soon. Sales and glu gluteus, I mean, yeah, glyco, glycol, but glyco, yeah, glycosis, and fast twitch muscles. I play ball better than learning all that stuff, you know. I nodded. I wasn't sure I wasn't sure I could speak with his breath misting so near my home, but it was true. Yaiko taught us about life, broke it into its components so that our movements through space made sense. When I ran, I thought about the movements of my muscles and joints, the glucose and oxygen making energy together. He brushed his lips gently along my cheek. I didn't move. The shock of it froze me. Why had he done that? He never looked at me that way. He never really looked at me any any kind of way. His lips were dry and warm. One his lips were dry and warm. No other part no other part of us touched. Blood moved faster through my veins and cap capillaries. I don't know, fucking word. Capillaries. Without willing without willing them to, my lips parted slightly, and escaped from me. Biology is probably my favorite class, he said, letting his lips slide toward my ear, gently pressing his teeth onto into my lobe. Mine too, I said, glad to be able to speak again because it was true. Biology is the only class I like. The smell of him the smell of him was curling into my nose and mouth. Sweat, meat, soap, and something else I didn't have a word for. My pulse beat faster. I felt it in my throat. The skin the skin all over my body tightened. Why why was he kissing me? How many other girls had he kissed like this? No one else noticed, but I seen how pretty you are, he said. You got the biggest eyes. He kissed the corner of each and the tip of my nose with his dry, soft lips. Something crashed beside us. We turned. The largest of the sickles lay shattered into hundreds of silver silvers of ice. I bent and picked up one of the largest pieces, cold and the broken edge sharp like a knife. Family history. Dad grew up with two crazy white ladies who worried about the family illness, how to increase apple and hay yards, how to keep the farm animals living together, and whether their children were running too wild or just wild enough. Grandmother had the one child, great aunt Dorothy and great uncle Hillard had six. If he hadn't died, it would probably have been more. Four of them with the family illness. Because of that, they homeschooled all of them, not dad, who didn't have the illness. He went to a boarding school in Connecticut on a scholarship where he was one of one of only five black students, one of whom he liked. He kept to himself, providing himself to be more of a Wilkins than he cared to admit. He studied French and everything he could about France, especially Marseille, um, because all he knew about his father was that he was a French sailor from Marseille. Oh no. Dad went to France when he was 18, worked his way over as a merchant marine, which he hated. He didn't find his father, but he did find lots of pretty French girls, including my mom. He brought her home through not all the way upstate. He stopped in the city, sorry. He stopped in the city and stayed there. Mom's never gone back to France. When I asked her if she misses it, she laughs. Here, she is a school teacher teaching French while dad writes. He's a professional liar, mom says. Even his journalism is lies. Travel writing, but a price, a, what appraisals of hotels, spas, and resorts. If they pay him enough, he'll say whatever whatever anyone wants him to say. He's away a lot. When he's away, they don't fight so much. I never tell anyone about my family, especially not counselors like Jill Wayne. I never I never talk about the family illness and how dad passed it on to me after. Sarah is following me home from school. She thinks she's being steady. She's managed to stay a block behind me we since we left school, but the blocks between school and my home aren't that crowded even after school on a weekday. So at every corner, at every corner, as I turn, I glance back and see her. Finally, I'm around a corner waiting. Sarah turns, and there I am staring at her. Oh, she says, taking several steps back, looking away. Oh, I say. I she begins looking at me briefly, slipping her hands under the straps of her book bag. Of her backpack, resting her left foot on the curb. You, I say, mocking her. She she blushes and looks down. I was. To increase Sarah's discomfort, I continued to stare at her. I was going to. Sarah says I was just. Sarah hasn't found the rest of her sentence yet, so I give it to her. You were just following me. Yes, she says, incurably honest. I wanted to see where you live. Why? I asked. She's still not looking at me. I heard that ye'd come visit you. She slides her right hand out from under the backpack strap, wipes it on her skirt, and then slaps it under again. And then slips it under again. I wanted to see what with me, him with me. He's dead. Remember? Sarah shakes her head, her heavy, loose curls swaying. She's still looking down. What did you want to see, Sarah? The outside of my apartment building, the inside my bedroom. She looks up, her eyes are wide and wet. Yes, she says. No, maybe. I don't know. I didn't think it all the way through. Come on, I say, turning on my heel. I am tempted to run flat out and leave her in my wake. Instead, I march fast up Second Avenue. She has to scurry to keep pace after. Her desk is so big. Sarah Washington says, looking around. Your desk is so big, Sarah Washington says, looking around. It's bigger than your bed. It's not that the desk is big, more that the room is small. In any other city in America, it would be a closet, not a bedroom. The desk, the chair, the bed, the crate beside it are the only furniture. I sat down on the bed, crossed my legs prefer to sit on the floor, but Sarah is standing on the only floor space. She's she picks up the silver packet of tiny pills by my bed, holds them in her hand and stares at them, then holds the pack out to me. Her eyes are too wet, a tear leaks out, and then another, and then another. I wonder what it's like crying so easily. You were sleeping with him, aren't you? Weren't you? Therefore, my skin, I tell her, her skin, your skin, she drops them back on the crate as if they might contaminate her. Pack, she take birth control pills for her skin, for your skin. A nod is odd. How often telling the truth feels like lying and lying like the truth. I have acne. When I take those pills, I don't have acne. You can look it up. So you never slept with him? She asks, emphasizing each word. I haven't I hadn't said that. No, I answered. Then why do you have his sweater? She says, with much louder this time. She squeezes past my bed to where it hangs on the back of my desk chair. She holds it to her nose. She can smell him too. Her eyes leak more water. She better not cry on the sweater. I was cold. I am never cold. I only let Sarah into my room to stop her from bothering me. She's one of those people who cannot let things be. I thought about hiding the sweater. I thought to about wearing the sweater, but I don't want to lose his smell. Put it down, I tell her. She does. I can smell salty fear on her. She is afraid of me. She is afraid of everything. I don't have anything of his. She says, not one thing. What about the chain around your neck? It's thin and gold. It would be easy to break, or that ring on your finger. He gave you those. He brought them. He bought them. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. They don't. Sarah trails off, glances at the sweater again. They weren't ever his. She means that they don't smell like sap. Sweat doesn't soak into metal, and jewelry doesn't have the fragrance of where it's been, only of what it is. Besides, he never wore them. He bought them for her to wear. He never bought anything for me. I think about telling Sarah this, but it will only confirm that me and Zach were together. When was the last time you saw him? She asked, sliding away from the sweater, her back against the desk. Why is everyone asking me about that? I know why. Ever since Brandon told about Zach and me, everyone has been staring, whispering, but I want to hear her say it, to admit that she suspects me of killing him too. I miss Zach so much. The thought of him makes my breath hurt. I'm afraid I'll choke. His death, his absence makes everything tighten, thicken, break. We're all trying to figure out what happened. Who did this to him? Why? She doesn't look at me directly. Her hand reaches toward his sweater again. She stops herself before she touches it. Who killed him, you mean? It's what everyone's saying. Zach was murdered, but no one knows who or how or why. The way the why is huge. Zach is a good guy. Was I cannot imagine a reason to kill him. Last time I saw Last time I saw him was Saturday night, Sarah says. Her voice waltzed on Saturday. Me too, I say. Though though I didn't. I mean, I don't know why I say it. Those two words mean I'm admitting to seeing Zach, to being his whatever I was. You're lying. I was with him Saturday. We were at Chanel's party. You weren't invited, as if I would want to go. So much noise, not just the music, but their voices all loud and um record. I don't know how you say this word. Raucous. I don't know. From drinking, I never drink. None of the Wilkins do. The party didn't go all night, I say. He saw me after. I crossed my legs the other way, stretched out my spine. At 5 a.m., she asks when he was so drunk. Chanel's older brother ended up helping him get a taxi home. He wasn't that drunk. I climbed in his window, though through the window of a 7 foot, seventh floor apartment. A nod. I've climbed into higher windows. I went up a fire escape. His bedroom's right next to it. Not true. The kitchen is. I have to climb across ledges to get to Zach's room. Sarah's not the kind of person who'd notice where the fire escape is. He also leaves the window open a crack. He used to anyway. He was snoring. I crawled in next to him. He woke up. I can see it clearly, though I know it didn't happen. Not that night. I thought you said you never slept with him. She's crying again. It amazes me she can do that even through her questions and her anger. I didn't. There are other things you can do. Sleep, for instance. He had been drunk. He'd opened up. He'd woken up, grunted Mackay, then rolled over and gone back to snoring. Or at least that's what would have happened if I'd been there that night. It had gone that way before. Sarah takes a long look at me without any fear for a moment. You said, she says at last, are nasty. I don't believe a word you've said. Can you even describe his bedroom? Lots of trophies. What jock boy's bedroom doesn't have lots of trophies? She shifts against my desk. It's hard and metal, even with the cloth draped over it. She can't be comfortable. What color are the walls at night? Dark. very funny. What's the rest of the house look like? She's sneering. I told I told you I get in through his window. Why am I answering your questions? I want her to go. I want her to stop interrogating me. I want her to leave me alone. Why won't you tell the truth? She asked, glaring at me. Why won't you? I asked, even though she is an incorrid incorrig what in incorrigibly truth teller. I glare right back. You've not, yeah, you've not even, you're not even pretty, Sarah shouts, pushing off from the desk, past the bed, opening the opening the door. You're like, you look like a boy, an ugly boy. What did he even see in you? She slams the door behind her so she doesn't hear me say that I have no idea. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna stop there. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with any and everybody. Let them know what your girl is doing on this channel. And I'll see y'all in the next video. And I am.